Triumph Street Triple 675 Best Motorcycle Review Aluminium Beam Twin-spar. It would have been difficult for the original Triumph Street Triple 675 to go particularly badly wrong. It was basically a Daytona 675 sports bike with the fairing ripped off. The Howling Triple engine is lightly retuned to suit its new role but still eager to please. You get sporty geometry, great ground clearance, decent brakes and suspension but with a more upright riding position. A major update in 2013 saw more angular bodywork, a new frame and ABS as standard as well as reduced weight, a low exhaust, taller suspension, to keep the exhaust off the floor in corners, and a taller first gear. It was replaced by the Triumph Street Triple 765 in 2017. We love Street Triples. We always have. They offer such a perfect blend of daily practicality and weekend fun that it's hard to resist having one. Sure, they're not ideal for touring holidays, but that doesn't mean owners don't use them for that, and the wind blast will get to you on long motorway trips. Take the twisty route instead, but otherwise, they're a do-everything bike. After a more premium performance Street Triple? Check out our review of the 2013 R model. Ride quality and brakes. The 2013 Street Triple had a lighter chassis and swing arm than the previous model, which resulted in a bike that handled incredibly well and almost floated over bumps. The suspension isn't fully adjustable, but it doesn't matter as it's set up so well out of the box. Triumph gave the Street Triple a more generous steering lock and the side-mounted exhaust was claimed to improve the handling. Lots of owners recommend Triumph's Gel Comfort seat. The standard seat is a bit minimalist. If you want to carry a pillion, invest in some grab handles not fitted as standard. Lowering kits are popular, but according to specialist Clive Wood, they're not the way to go. I see a lot of bikes and people have bought a kit from eBay, lowered it 40mm and ruined the handling. You don't need to change the dog bones, it's easy to lower the bike enough for most people. With the wheels on the floor, loosen all the bolts and the rear suspension linkages. There'll be a clunk as all the joints settle. Then take a couple of rings of preload off the rear spring. That'll lower the rear by about 25mm. Now move the forks up through the yokes by about 15mm to restore the balance. And it's free. Engine. Unlike the Daytona 675, which received a totally new engine for 2013, the Street Triple's motor is essentially the same as the previous model with subtle modifications aimed at responding to customer feedback. The new fuel injection bodies, ECU settings and higher first gear were claimed by Triumph to give a 30% boost in fuel efficiency under urban conditions, a notorious annoyance of owners. With little else changed on the engine, it remains as good as the original with a strong mid-range and howling soundtrack. How reliable is the 2013 Triumph Street Triple 675 engine and gearbox? Usually reliable, but they don't like being thrashed from cold and can end up smoky, rattly and use oil. Make sure you see a bike started from cold. A bit of smoke is okay but should clear. Cam chain noise is very common. Early ones had a mechanical ratchet adjuster and they can sometimes be noisy when cold if between clicks on the adjuster. You can sometimes fix it by accelerating hard in second and then throttling off just as hard. This puts all the slack in the cam chain in one place, so the tensioner can sometimes take up the slack by picking up the next notch in the ratchet. Beware other advice from the internet though, says marque specialist Clive Wood. One thing I've seen on the forums which scares me is people recommending loosening the CCT fixing bolts, letting the ratchet take up the play then tightening again. That means the ratchets jumped 4 or 5 teeth and the chain will be far too tight. Later ones are part hydraulic and should quieten down after a few seconds. The gearbox isn't the slickest, but it shouldn't jump out of gear or hit false neutrals. Over-tightening the drive chain makes the shifting worse. Make sure there's 30mm of slack in the chain. Reliability and build quality. From launch there were no question marks over the reliability or build quality of the Street Triple and the attention to detail was excellent. Owners reckoned the finish was either excellent or rubbish. If you look after it, and many owners do, you can keep it looking good, but it won't tolerate neglect. Engine paint, nuts and bolts and exhaust headers all look tatty quickly if ignored in bad weather. It's worth removing, greasing and refitting as many minor fittings as possible. They can seize remarkably quickly. One important check is to look carefully at the headstock to frame welded joints. These are prone to cracking in front-end impacts, so look for cracked paint and if in any doubt at all, walk away. Value versus rivals. The Street Triple was excellent value when it was introduced. It really was that good. Even today on the used market they're good value if you're patient and willing to shop around. Its main rivals are the 2014 to 2018 Yamaha MT-07, 2008 to 2014 Ducati Monster 696 and the 2012 to 2016 MV Agusta Brudale 675. Is the Triumph Street Triple 675 expensive to maintain? It's no more complicated than any other modern bike to work on and easier than most, as everything's pretty easy to get to. The service schedule's pretty simple, 6,000-mile intervals, with oil and filter changed at every service along with full chassis/body fixing check, head bearings adjusted, ECU fault codes checked and cleared, throttle bodies balanced, spark plugs checked and controls adjusted. Every other service sees valve clearance checking, important as valves can tighten alarmingly between services along with air filter, spark plugs, coolant and brake fluid changes. Fork oils changed every 24K, but we do it with each 12,000-mile service. It's also worth cleaning and re-greasing head bearings and suspension pivots at the same time. Equipment. As motorcycles go, the Street Triple is pretty basic, but for 2013 Triumph added optional ABS. That's your lot when it comes to electronics. No rider modes, no wheelie control, no quickshifter. But the Street Triple is so good you never notice all these things, which are almost standard on similar bikes now, are missing. The standard Street Triple was £700 less than the Street Triple R, with most of that premium attributed to the quickshifter on the R.